Thank you. That guy recognized me right outside my store. That's crazy. He was literally walking by my store and he said, "Love your show," as I was leaving. This is kind of weird. I think I mentioned this a while back, that I really, if you arrange my channel videos from oldest to newest, and you just look at the stuff that I produced 8 or 9 years ago, I had no idea that anybody would actually choose to waste their time watching this shit. It's literally just me ranting into the ether. It's, you know, it's kind of like the Grandpa Simpson yells at Sky meme. And that's pretty much the entirety of what I produce here. And I don't know. It's really bizarro world. So I thought I would discuss some of what I talked about in that Paul Roberts video today with you all. That video, I made a really big mistake. I think I included right to repair in the title. So I did a video today going over New York and some of the ridiculous restaurant shit, and it got like 40, 60,000 people watched it. I did a video on actual right to repair, and it's like wah, wah, wah. I think some like 4,000 people viewed it. I feel bad because Paul Roberts is a good dude. I was hoping it would introduce some more people to his organization, Secure Repairs, but it's kind of, I think I put right to repair in the title or some shit. When I include the word repair in the title of a video, it just tanks. It's like, what is this electronics repair horseshit? It's interesting. So I did that video today on the what was I saying? I did that video on the outdoor indoor dining shit. I always get some really really sassy, passive aggressive-ish, like douchey, insulting comments from people that that kind of go out of their way to pretend I'm on one extreme or the other with it. So I remember explaining last year that I honestly had no problem with mask mandates or any of this stuff. It just kind of made sense to me to not risk having my staff infect each other and then have all of them off all at the same time. So if there's something out there that even decreases the possibility they transmit it to each other by 30 or 40%, I'll take it, because I gotta pay their salary while they're sitting at home not producing income because they're coughing from COVID. You know, I changed the front of the store a little bit. It's not like I'm going out and partying or anything. I'm not one of those people that thinks COVID is fake. I'm not one of those people that thinks like, that just says COVID is just the flu, COVID is fake, COVID is something that a Democrat hoax made up or blah, blah, blah. But like when you see that shit, like when you see that they build a fucking structure in the street, they build, like you have to think about it from my point of view as a business owner, right? So they have the time to come into my store and give me a fine. They could give me a fine for not having a record of a purchase that I did not make. Yet when they have an outdoor dining mandate, you can build a physical house on the street that is fully encapsulated and enclosed. Like this shit to my right. And no fine. It's just, oh, who cares? Yeah, go for it. That's outdoors. See this thing over here to my left? This is outdoors. That's outside because there's no walls. There's no door. There's no door when you're outdoors. There's a door when you're indoor. Anyway, I could lose my effing mind going over that, but why bother? You see that? That's outdoors. The side of it is open. One side is closed. The other side is open. Outdoors. Bam. It's just like I don't understand this. The regulation itself. You're either downplaying COVID or making fun of a business just trying to survive. It's like, no, I'm not making fun of the business just trying to survive, and I'm not saying that COVID sucks. I'm saying that this in particular is a horrible implementation of a dumbass regulation. Either let the businesses have limited capacity inside and tell them you gotta open your doors or your windows, you gotta have a fan by it or some shit. Or tell them, fuck you, you can only do outdoor dining, but actual outdoor, like this. But we have this half measure thing here, which just like, it's a joke. I mean, I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't have a PhD, I don't have a master's degree. I had to cheat to get out of high school chemistry. But you can't tell me that shit no, that's not, just no. No. There was one person I pinned this, it was so fucking, I still think that it was a fucking troll, where he said, no, the hole that I put my 2 or 3 fingers through was allowing the ventilation. A door wouldn't allow the ventilation, but that would. Oh my God, I can't. like, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. And like, because it's kind of like you're actually living in a shitpost. Because I can't tell if people believe this shit or not. And I ain't saying COVID's a hoax. COVID is real. COVID actually kills people. I'm not like doing that, you know. I'm not one of those people that's like, you know, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not a pussy. Oh, it's 0.04% chance of death. But oh my God, a vaccine that gave 15 out of 8 million people blood clots. Run. Horror, horror. There's such a lack of consistency in that ideology. It's one of the things that's always I've found interesting with politics. It's not even the sides, it's kind of the lack of consistency in ideologies. Like most people that I've met that are pro-choice, that are vegan or pro-choice. Just it's like one of those things like that that's just kind of, it's interesting that you have this belief and this belief at the same time. If you fear COVID, you're a pussy. If you fear a vaccine that gave 15 out of 8 million people a problem, well, that's just totally rational. All right, now that I've pissed off my whole COVID section, now that there's probably a little war going on down there, that's good. You have your war. So there's what I wanted to discuss was a plan with direct ballot stuff. Because I've been getting a lot of questions on this. So Lewis, what step have you taken in the direct ballot initiative? So I'd like to tell you what step I've taken. I've taken the step of fundraising. And I want to explain. People go, huh? What do you mean? So I was told if I want to have any chance of doing this with a remote possibility of success, because if it's a direct ballot initiative, that's just considered an advertising expense for them. They can put as much money as they want. They want to spend 200 million advertising against you. They want to spend 2 billion advertising against you. They can. 5 to 20. I am 12% of the way there. Now, technically, you could try to do a direct ballot initiative without having the whole thing. However, here's the problem, as I explained it to Paul Roberts in that video that nobody watched because I was stupid and put the word right to repair in it, is that if you do a direct ballot initiative and you fail, you can't just keep going back to the legislature year after year. So when I go back to the legislators year after year, I always have the high ground. What I can say is that this bill has the support of the American people. This bill has the support of the voting populace. This bill has the support of small business owners, anybody that's ever owned things. Hell, it probably has the support of any of you people that have ever had the displeasure of going to a fucking Apple store. I shit you not, in 2015, the easiest way to get signatures, or in co-sponsors, the easiest way by far. You know, there's probably more people, you know, getting injured from dying in bike lanes here than people that die of COVID. That's, yeah, somebody has to be getting hit over there. That's insane. Especially with the way the Grubhub people drive around. The Arrow 7s for Grubhub and Seamless and all that shit. By the way, all the people honking over here at night, you can see the traffic's coming back. So there's a lot more traffic here now, a lot more people. I get to have the high ground. I get to say that this bill has the support of people. But the downside is the lobbyists are going to hate you, and maybe, you know, they'll help fund your opposition to run against you and make your life a living hell in the legislature. But it has the support of the people. Now, that's an adorable little doggy. If I show up and I do a direct ballot initiative and I fail because I screw it up, I'm not able to do the polling that I need to do to figure out if the opposition ads landed. I can't run the ads that I need to run in the places I need to run them. All that stuff. Can't run a proper campaign, then what happens is I no longer get to say that I have the voice of the people. So when I show up there, not only will I be saying this is political suicide to sign this right to repair bill and you will be torturing yourself and your attorney general will have their work cut out for them for the next 3 to 4 years as this gets held up in appeal, and Apple and Samsung and LG and every manufacturer in the country try to appeal this shit and say it's unconstitutional or take it all the way up to the Supreme Court. Not only am I going to make your life miserable there, but by the way, this lost on direct ballot, so people don't even want it when directly asked. You kill it. You not only kill it in that state, but you kill it in every single state across the country. So I would not feel comfortable doing a direct ballot initiative having raised 12% of the overall goal. Well, now, what I could do, here's the good news here, is that there is actually, one of the provisions I put in there is if I don't raise what I need, then I would just do traditional lobbying for these bills all across the country. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that there are no right to repair lobbyists in many of these states. Many of these states, zero right to repair lobbyists, zero right to repair people showing up to the legislators to discuss this with them, to go over their fears, their concerns. Hey, what you know those other 20 people? You know the John Deere and the Apple and the Samsung and the LG and all and Ford and whatever the fuck you know all those other people that came in here? What did they tell you? Tell me so I know. Oh, by the way, this is bullshit. Here's why. Oh, by the way, these 5 people are in support of the bill, and they can also, I don't know, maybe help fund your re-election campaign. I don't know what the fuck these people talk about behind closed doors. I'm not a fucking lobbyist, but there's no lobbyist. Like in Colorado, that bill got decimated. It got destroyed. And they actually said, we have questions. The people were there to answer the questions, and they didn't ask the fucking questions. It's ridiculous. Like, you had your opportunity. By the way, for everybody wondering, this is a Wednesday night. This is kind of crazy. This is a lot of activity for a Wednesday night. Just a few weeks ago, Saturday night was not as busy as this Wednesday night. So I really do think people are starting to get sick and tired of staying indoors all the time. And they're going back outside, whether de Blasio and Cuomo are going to allow them to or not. But so right now, with the amount that we've all raised, thanks to all of you, by the way, thank you very much, is that there's enough to actually hire a lobbyist and do a real campaign. Not direct ballot, but for these bills in every state where they've been introduced. That's insane. That's amazing. Like, the quote, the fallback option has now become something better than what we've had for the past 7 or 8 years. Because I do not believe that there has been a budget in place to be able to have a genuine lobbyist and a team of people working in every single state where there is a bill. Ever. That's awesome. As awesome as the ability to go through a red light when there's no traffic because this doesn't have a license plate. But you didn't see that. But he does it too. Every bike does it in New York City. Don't judge me. I guess you can judge me. There'll be somebody who's very pedantic who judges me. You always look, though. That's one of the things that drives me nuts about a lot of the Arrow 7 and DoorDash people. They are fucking daredevils. They don't look. I've seen it before, because I've been on the other end of that where I'm going through a green light, and somebody who does not look left or right goes through a red at full speed and doesn't look. It's insane. I was speaking to this famous drummer. I don't want to tell you the name of him, but some of you probably know. And he was telling me, he's like, what do you do before you do something illegal? He was a multimillionaire in his 20s. He's a veteran. He's a really smart dude. He's lived a really good life. Very disciplined life, but he's a tough dude, but he's really, really smart. I respect him a lot. I'm never going to forget. He's like, what do you do before you do something illegal? I'm like, what? And he goes, look to your left, you look to your right, and you go, okay now. I got a kick out of that. He was in his late 60s. And he always had this hearty laugh after he said whatever he said. But I took that to heart. I think it applies to it certainly applies to jaywalking. If you're going to cross at a red, you look to your left, look to your right. That seems like common fucking sense. We don't have a lot of that in New York, as you can tell from our indoor-outdoor dining policy and enforcement. But the city has the time to fine me $15,000 for a minor violation of something that I didn't actually do. But I'm not salty. Oh, I'm not salty. There's no salt here. Absolutely no salt. None whatsoever. So I think it's cool that there's enough money that we could actually hire a lobbyist in every single state. But the thing is, I'm still in that stage where I'm kind of waiting it out to see what actually does get raised. Because I said I'd like to actually, can I show up on the news? Can I show up in the newspaper? Can I show up on, I don't know, some famous podcast? Because one of the things I've noticed is a common thread between everybody who's been a large donor. There's one specific common thread. It's 3 things. A, they've made a lot of money working in Silicon Valley. B, they feel somewhat bad about the culture of Silicon Valley, how they seem to look down on ordinary people and think they're better and know best for them, and how they are slowly removing ownership from our culture. And C, they feel somewhat guilty about the fact that they've become a multi-millionaire, or in some cases billionaire, from their investments or work in Silicon Valley. So I think the key is to find more of those people who worked in Silicon Valley, made tens of millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars off of either their investments in these companies or their work at these companies, that are looking at the state of product ownership and stuff like that. For some reason, I thought he was going to throw his shoe at me. That's why I started to brake a little bit, because I've seen that happen before. When someone comes by, you should always be careful about that. So I saw him take off his shoe, and he looked at me, and I'm like, nope, no, I'm braking. I'm braced. I'm prepared for this. I ain't getting I remember my dad pointed that out to me when I was a kid. He would take me to the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and when he would take me there, this is back when New York was much more of a shithole than it is now. Because you think it sucks now. No, it sucked way worse, like 22, 24 years ago. And he would show me see that kid with the Walkman? See how there's two people that are standing next to him right now? It's kind of blocking him from sight. Okay, watch what happens now. Okay, see how he doesn't have his headphones and his hair is ruffled up, like that kind of shit. So I'm always paying attention to it. But so I'm in this kind of this kind of purgatory zone where I don't have enough money to do one thing. I have more than enough money to do the other thing. I got to figure out, do I want to do the first one or do I want to do the second one? And what's the word I'm looking for? The deadline for a direct ballot initiative is somewhere. By the way, see that out there? That's outdoors. You have an open wall. I'm just saying. Listen, I'm not totally unreasonable. I'm not like the inspector that came to me. See this over here? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what outdoors looks like. I tried to get in front of him. I couldn't. Didn't want to risk it. This motor is getting a little beat up. See this over here? Now you have a ceiling and you have a wall, but this is open. This is outdoor. I rate this a 6 out of 10 outdoor. Not a 10 out of 10, not a 9 out of 10, but I would give this a solid outdoors. This is it doesn't take a lot of outdoor to make me happy. I'm not a fine you or to audit you over the lemonade stand you had when you're 9 years old kind of bureaucracy guy. Just doesn't take much to make me happy. But so I'm at that point where I don't want to make a choice about what I'm going to do one way or the other until I know that I've exhausted all my options. So the deadline for a direct ballot thing is somewhere around July or August to kind of get the ball rolling on it. And at this point in time, I would not feel comfortable in any way, shape, or form that I could get it done with the budget that I have. However, again, where have I shown up? Where have I really promoted this outside of my YouTube channel? I spoke on some college radio stations. I'm going to do a couple more of those in the morning, and did a high school radio station. Talked to Ben Heck on my channel, but again, I'm not insulting Ben Heck. He's a cool dude. He's a smart dude. He's probably way smarter than me. Way smarter. But just the absolute reality of the situation is that he has 10% of my subscriber base. So, Linus, that was a big one. Linus, 10, Linus 10 times my subscriber base. That's a big one. That's a big one, and I got to credit that for helping me a lot. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate Linus's help. Also, he wired $20K, so I can't be mad at him there. Thank you, Linus, again for he wired $20,000 cash. I don't know if it's Canadian cash or U.S. dollars cash. I guess I'll find out once it arrives. Honestly, who gives a shit? It's a large amount of money. It's a pedantic detail to care about, but there's still so much more. The surface has barely been scratched. A good 95% of the people that I've messaged, news outlets, podcasts, other stuff. Oh boy, I didn't know that van was about to move next to me. Have not gotten back to me. So I still kind of want to see. There's still massive potential. And I'm not saying that I want to be, go full Italian like my mother and, do the full Italian guilt trip on all the Silicon Valley millionaires and billionaires that are watching property rights get eroded through this recurring subscription to Rundle, recurring revenue bundle subscription bullshit model that we're seemingly subscribing to fucking everywhere. Whether it's a computer, a car, a tractor, a medical device, or even a goddamn ice cream machine. Well, you know what? If that's what it takes, fine, I'll do it. I'll do it a little bit. Because, that really does I am going to have to start thinking strategically like that if I want to win. Because this is what people do when they run political campaigns, They try to figure out who they can get as a donor and why. How, the why, the what drives. Real politicians, they spend a good amount of their time just fundraising. There's a good amount of their day that's just calling up donors, figuring out if they're happy, and then don't even get me started on the whole shit where If they're not happy, they start, making up laws to make them happy and all this crap. I feel really guilty doing this. I'm salmoning, which is going the wrong way down the street. However, since this is not a bike lane, it's very wide, and since there's literally nobody else here, I feel okay doing it just because there's literally nobody here, and I just kind of wanted to check out this area. This is usually much more active, way more people than now. It's totally dead, and it's kind of weird. By the way, here again, see? Look at this. Just saying. Outdoor dining. No problem with that. That's outdoors. That kills COVID. Not a... Yeah, it's kind of weird to see this section of Chinatown totally dead. It's really creepy. Very creepy, actually. I'm not used to this. Yeah, but I'm going to have to kind of get a little bit more strategic with it. I want to, because if this is the top, if this is all I get, then by all means, I will not be mad. I will not be sad. I will not go, poor me, blah, 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 because this is a lobbying budget for years. This is a right to repair serious lobbying budget for years. I mean, again, it's not a bribing budget, but that's not really the way I would seek to get something passed anyway. I ain't a Peanuts character. I ain't no Peanuts character. No robust conversations here. So that's where I'm at. That's my mindset. That's my thought process. First, I have to know what I'm working with before I know what I'm going to do. And I'm still in the very, very, very early stages here. There are still some things that I got started out of this, that I already got started. So an FTC complaint and a white paper written up on behalf of consumers. That's in the works. So that when Lena Khan and other people that actually do support right to repair get to the FTC, I want it to be served to them on a silver platter. Here's what you do. FTC, go, get them. You see that company that's not allowing me to buy a chip so that I can get someone's data back so that they have to go back to the manufacturer and have no... Go, get them, go. We're working on that. That's already gotten started. There's a bunch of other... I got the wiki started. I kind of want to... I want to figure out how to scale up the wiki with money. And this is one thing that I'm not particularly great at, which is I'm really good at having this deprivation mindset of I have no money and I need to figure out how to do something in the most efficient way possible. Whether it was, when I was trying to, do the whole board repair business thing with no money or try to start this business out of my apartment with no money. I'm good at that. But I'm not good at scaling once money is there because sometimes money helps you and in other ways it kind of adds more problems. So for instance, I started out the wiki at wiki2.rossmanngroup.com. I'm eventually going to transfer it to a proper host with the domain name of the organization rather than just hosting it on a subdirectory of my fucking store website. That's coming soon. But because I opened that wiki before there was any money in the C3 bank account. But I really like to come up with a way to encourage people from all different repair sub-niches to contribute to that. So I contributed a bunch to it, and I put together, you could take a look, Wiki2, that's wiki2.rossmanngroup.com, 2 S's, 2 N's. You could see where there's, model of a device, problem, solution. Here's how you detect water damage, all that. I want to make this a treasure trove of specific repair solution data for difficult repairs that you won't find guides for elsewhere. So if it, I'm not knocking iFixit at all, but it's just like if it's, how to change the battery on your Samsung S5, that's just not the data that I have in mind here. I have in mind the stuff that is difficult to do that you're not going to find anywhere else. And I wanted to have as much of that shit put there as possible. And I kind of want to figure out how to scale that up with money. I want to make a plan to scale that up with money. Because that's money that you can't really use for lobbying. So I have a C3 and a C4. A C3, I think you're limited to like 20% of your budget can be lobbying. A C4, that's what the GoFundMe was for lobbying. The C3 is actually very nicely funded at this point in time. It's just, you can't do the fun stuff with it, But I can do educational stuff, and I want to do a lot of educational stuff with it. I got to come up with some plans and ways to I got to figure out a way to come up with a structure that incentivizes people to go there. Because the hardest part for me when I started doing this was, where do you learn? Like, I mean, granted, you could sit there like Duke did in the Netherlands until 4 in the morning every fucking day for like 5 years, banging your head against the wall, and then finally it's, oh, okay, so when the SMC is off, PP/G3 out is 12.23 volts, but when the SMC is on, it's 12.56. Like, you could do that. Wouldn't it be nice if that was in a fucking fact sheet and it said why? Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't it be nice? I'm just saying. And imagine that for every device, because one of the things that makes it not economically viable to do advanced repairs is their R&D time. Like, I spent a lot of time doing R&D on MacBook board repair, and everybody else does here, because we get 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 of them a day of the same model. But if I can't do, you can't put 50 hours of time into a device if you're only going to see it once, and the customer is going to pay $200 for the repair. This is not economically viable. But if you have a sheet, if you have a cheat sheet that kind of says, like, if you already have some basic idea about electronics, here's where you look. Here are the major faults. Here are the major flaws that always happen. Here's where you look. That will make repair economically viable for a number of different devices that previously did not have economically viable repairs. And it will also decrease prices to the end consumer. Because the end consumer will, instead of having to go to one specialized shop to get a particular repair done at an economically viable rate, maybe they could go to almost any shop to get it done at an economically viable rate, if that shop does not have to put in the 40 to 50 hours to figure some shit out. So I want to kind of start scaling that up. I want to figure out how to do that with money. Because, you know, money doesn't solve problems. It kind of makes problems. Because it's really easy to spend money on something and have that money not solve the problem. It's easy to spend money on something that doesn't wind up paying you back or giving you something. The hardest part of them all is kind of convincing people that makes sense. This is one of the things that highly frustrates me in life. So I'll hear from people. I even hear this from Jessa. She's one of my best friends. Known her for 7 years. We argue about everything because that's how we are. You know, it doesn't make sense for me to put out this information publicly, or like, this information I'll put in a video, but this stuff I won't, because then everybody else will just use my solution and then I'll get less business. It's like, I was posting solutions to my YouTube channel when I had 2 or 3 employees. I have over 14 employees now. I have over quadrupled my employees. And my strategy has been, let me tell my customers and my competition, not just what the solutions are, but how I found the solution. What was my thought process leading up to the solution, so that when the next product comes out, you don't have to come to my videos to get the solution, because you now know how to use your brain. Also, look at the tailgating this fucking guy is doing. His front wheel is so close to that person's rear wheel that he's about to hit him. That's just that's so fundamentally irresponsible. And he has a child there too. That's just horrible. I don't want to be anywhere near this shit. I don't want to be there when he hits her and they all fall down. That's going to make me very depressed and sad. Like, there's no reason to tailgate someone like that. Either pass them or don't pass them, but what the fuck? Like, stay behind or pass them, but I hate that shit. It's like commit. It's like the vaccine thing. Like, either be on the team that being afraid of COVID makes you a pussy, but I'm also not afraid of a vaccine that had 15 problems, had 8 million people, or be on the team of, oh my God, COVID's the scariest thing in the world, and be concerned that 15 people out of 8 million had a problem. It's the lack of consistency that drives me nuts. Oh boy. You may notice I'm doing way more pedaling. This motor, I think, only has 2 out of the 3 phases working. This happens to the BBS HD a lot. Because with the older ones, what we used to be able to kill, and this guy at California E-Bike has a great blog entry on it. He shows how they changed the design of the rotor so that it doesn't break off at the same point as often as it used to. You used to kill the rotor. You would always kill the rotor. Then once they made a stronger rotor, now what happens is, I don't know what it is, I take it apart, I take everything out, I put it back together, and then it works. It drives me nuts. Because it's happened with 2 or 3 different motor cores, where you take everything apart, you put it back together, and then it works. But then a few months later, it has this shit where like one of the phases just kind of stalls all the time. So I'm at that place right now, and I just haven't taken this one off of the bike. I also shouldn't complain about it, because this one has something like, I don't know. This is actually the motor that went on fire. So in that video I released last August or September when the bike went on fire, this is that motor. This is that one. So the fact that it survived is absolutely insane, and that it's worked even this long. Like, this wasn't a 500 or 600 Celsius lithium fire. Oh man. Okay. Pick one. Vroom. It's good. I could use some exercise anyway. I've lost a good 22 or 23 pounds since I met Erica. I think I met her at 188, and now I'm at 166 as of today. So, you know, I do try to get my exercise in. Yeah, I was surprised she went out with me when I met her. I was a fat ass. I kind of let myself go way too much. No bike lane for you. My bike lane. Okay, now you can go back. Ow. Stupid New York streets. All right. Let's see what I got here. This is a lot of traffic. One thing about car ownership that sucks, all the stuff to my left, oh my God, that's just the absolute killer. The inability to just swoop around all this stuff is horrible. This is the most traffic I've seen in a year, and it's on a Wednesday night, which is crazy. There has not been this much traffic in this area. I don't know if you pay attention to the other bike videos, but this is more traffic than I've ever seen here. So this is interesting. Yeah. I see people are moving around again, and man, I almost got homesick for a while. See everybody honking? Should I honk too, or is that being a dick? I'm not gonna honk, that's being a dick. Okay. I'll honk a little bit. That's my horn. I got a car horn. See it? Right over here, that's my car horn. I have a converter on this that converts the 84 volts from the battery into 12 volts, and it can do up to 30 amps, which is way more than I need for this horn or for this little light that I have in the front. So I got my light, and then I got my horn. But when people honk at me in their car, they do that. They think, you know, oh, I'm a bike. I'm just going to ring my bell back at them. It's like, no, mofo, I go up to your window and I honk. Use this nice little Honda Accord horn right next to your window. Nah. That's only happened once. There was one guy that rode his car right up to me at a red light and then just honked. I'm like, you motherfucker. I put my IEMs in because I got these Shure IEMs that kind of block out sounds. Go right up to your window, honk. New York is a magical place. Nobody there. Now the traffic is gone. I'm kind of curious. What prompted everybody to start going out now, but not, let's say, 2 weeks ago? Maybe the vaccine thing. I'm surprised. We got up to something like 3 or 3.3 million vaccines a day. It's crazy. I'm thinking about booking mine for tomorrow. See, I don't have a fear of the vaccine screwing me up. I am just a pussy when it comes to needles. I am less afraid of getting stabbed by somebody who wants to stab me than I am of a needle. I remember getting into this fight 11 years ago, and there was a broken glass Mr. Guy's tea bottle that was sharp, and someone tried to use it on me, and I was scared. But it's so irrational and stupid. I was less scared facing that than I am when I go to the doctor and they put a needle in me. It's so stupid, but it's like it's one of those irrational things I can't really kick. I hate needles so much. Grade A Under A has a video about this regarding spiders, where it's, are you afraid of them, or do you just not like them? Because you could just not like them. Or perhaps if it's a fear, it's not an irrational one. I don't know, like, the spider that gives you an 8-hour-long erection and then makes you sick, that doesn't sound very pleasant. It's not irrational to be afraid of that. It sounds rational to me. I don't blame him. Pothole, pothole, pothole. What are you doing with my money, de Blasio? Oh my God. Pothole, 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 pothole. So if you want to live in this area that I'm riding my bike through right here, you're going to find studio apartments that are about the size of the kitchen in my current apartment, going for in the 3,000-ish range. There are these places where when you spend that amount of money, you look around and you're like, man, this is a nice neighborhood. Look at the lawns, look at the green grass, look at all the nice places to go to and all this stuff. Look around here. It really just is a bunch of other tall office buildings that you get to be around. Oh, you get to be across from the New York State Department of Labor. They could walk over, you're fine. All right, here there's an excuse. Here there's some road work being done. Those apartments have terraces. That's going to be expensive right there. Oh, and you got a fitness center down here? Oh, bet that's going to be like $4,000 a month up there. Come at you with the... And there's a Whole Foods down there. It's not so much about the actual cost of the groceries at Whole Foods, but rather how having a Whole Foods in proximity raises the cost of everything in the neighborhood that I notice. Like paying a little bit more to get, a really nice eclectic selection of different kinds of weird foods and stuff like that, I don't mind that at all. What I do mind is, oh, by the way, there's a Whole Foods 1 block away, so your apartment's $1,000 a month more. Like, I looked at the apartments in this building, the Ashland, at one point. I knew I was never going to be willing to pay that much to live someplace. But I was just out of sheer curiosity. And they're in the like $2,400 to $2,800 range for a lot of them, and it's 1/3 the size of where I live. Like, Mr. Clinton would be claustrophobic. He would jump to try and chase Oreo or Blackberry down, and he'd probably get a concussion hitting his head against the walls. One thing Mr. Clinton loves about my apartment, because it's about 67 feet long, my apartment is about 1,100 square feet, but it's one room. Granted, it's in a shitty-ass, old, crappy building that's kind of semi-falling apart, but it's the entire floor of the building. So I get the whole floor of the building's mine. And it's one room. It's not multiple rooms, so that it's like 70 feet long. So Mr. Clinton likes to do his exercise. He'll run back and forth, and he stays in shape. He sprints. He's fast. You could see him working out, lifting weights, doing his deadlifts, his squats, his bench press, bent over rows. He doesn't skip leg day, unlike some people that we have at work, like the ex-shipping guy. But he does. Never seen him do leg day in the entire time I've had a gym. But it's so claustrophobic to go back to one of those, and it's just so weird, the idea of actually paying a premium to live in a fishbowl. Like, I would take the fishbowl above the Whole Foods for, $1,100. $3,000, no. You keep that. Oh boy. Excuse me. Those ones over there, I remember I did a video on that outdoor dining. There I actually made a mistake. My bad, and I apologize. They actually have separate houses for each individual person. So there is actually some remote chance that they are stopping the spread of COVID. Now granted, again, I'm not a PhD in epidemiology. I don't know how long COVID lasts inside that little bubble. And I sure as fuck know they are not, they're not disinfecting those houses before and after each client. However, the fact that there is a separate bubble per person, that does mean that there is some sense of isolation. It is funny to look at, and it is weird to look at, and it is strange to look at. But that is better, what they were doing over there, than the outdoor dining where they have everybody under one hut. And the hut has walls, doors, and a ceiling, and a floor. So I rescind my full-on criticism of that with my full-on apology and admission of of being wrong. See? I, as a New York City indoor-outdoor inspector, will admit when I'm wrong. Maybe. Maybe my inspector from a month ago will admit when he's wrong. We'll see. I hope so. Still debating whether to pay the $500 and plead guilty or go to the hearing. I really don't feel like paying $15,000 out of pocket right now. It's like one of those things where, you know, even though you see all this stuff out here, walk-in business is still kind of shit compared to mail-in. Like, there's still, you know, I did move to a place that was 2 to 3 times as expensive as the other place. They're not exactly happy with the rate of rent that I'm giving them at this point in time. Risking giving the city $15,000 because I get a judge that doesn't want to hear my shit or my story. I know it would be worth it for a video. Like, it would be worth it for the LOL potentially. I would want to record the hearing and post it if it goes as ridiculously as I imagine it can. But a YouTube video is not going to make $15,000. A YouTube video will not make $15,000. Even if it goes crazy viral, maybe I'll get like $600 from it or something. Excuse me. I got a piece of dust caught in my throat earlier, and it's like really stuck in the worst possible spot. And for some reason, I didn't bring a water bottle with me tonight. Why? Kitten. So my friend wants to buy a kitten for $1,200. I'm trying to figure out how I dissuade him from doing that. Is it even my business? Should I care? Like, am I being a bad friend by trying to dissuade him from spending $1,200 on a cat? Cats are free. Like, Oreo walked up to me and went, "Row," and then when I thought he may run away, I opened a can of food for him, and I let him inside. And he saw the can of food, so I was able to trap him. Like, Oreo was free. Mr. Clinton was free. BlackBerry was free. Like, cats are free. They're everywhere. You know, you just open up a can of food when you see a cat. It runs over to you. And you kind of, you put the next piece of the can of food. That was really dumb. I like the part where he stopped at a green light. But and then the cat follows you inside, and now you have a cat. Hey, $1,200 for a cat is insane. And he looks at me and he says, "Oh, but look, it's cute." It's like, yeah, all cats are cute when they're tiny. He's going to grow up to be a fat fuck like Oreo that doesn't even have a neck. He's just going to have a bunch of rolls from his body leading to his face. And you don't get your $1,200 back if the cat grows up to not be cute anymore. And let's face it, they don't always grow up to be cute anymore. You know, not everybody gets the luck of having a Mr. Clinton. For every Mr. Clinton, you have an Oreo. I do love Oreo, though. But damn, he has gotten so fucking fat. Erica just keeps shoveling food to him. But it's hard not to shovel food to him because he cries. He goes, I actually can't make the noise right now. Usually I can imitate Oreo's little whiny meow, but I had this whatever thing that just got stuck in my throat is killing me. It smells horribly polluted over here for some reason. This is a Bedford and Lafayette. I don't know what that smell is, but something smells really bad. Every time that happens, I'll take my knees and I'll put them together to kind of gauge the temperature of my bike battery. Sadly, that's because I think it's going to be a while before I stop doing that. All right, people. It is time to call it a day. We are done. We are done. Home sweet home, baby. Home sweet home. This is going on almost 12 years of living in this area. The litter everywhere gets old after a while. I don't know what all this stuff is over here. This actually looks like hair. Is that hair? No fucking way. That really looks like hair. What is this? It looks like someone pulled out someone's hair or something. Jesus Christ. There's always so much shit on the floor over here. It drives me nuts. And you have these garbage pails at the end of every block, too. I don't get it. This place over here is amazing, by the way. Natural blend. The food here is awesome. I really hope that this place does not go out of business. That is a good restaurant. That is on Nostrand and Clifton. They make so much amazing food. They're such nice people. You can tell that the people who own that place give a crap about the food they make, and it's not just some fast food way to milk money out of people. I haven't eaten there many times, but every time I have, I've been genuinely amazed at the quality of what they make and the kindness of the people there. Yeah, that place was between Clifton and Lafayette on Nostrand Avenue. All right, see y'all later. I'm out of here.